Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. If we haven't already been stricken for copyright infringement, I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, it's Sejohn Sejohn. Hello, Sejohn, how are you?
Hey, Dev. Yeah, what are you afraid that they're going to recognize that song that you were singing at the top of the show? Because I got news for you that I don't know what you were doing.
Oh, you know what? You and probably everyone else in the country, that's the, interstitial music for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Welcome to the Colbert Report, or the Colbert Report. It's our 444th episode of the Say Report. It's a report episode, and we're kicking things off with a discussion about the cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Is that what it's called? Is that the name of the show? I'm just being completely honest with you. I don't know. That's one of the reasons I want to talk about it. Not that I don't know it, but the discussion around it has been pretty crazy, if we're being honest.
Yeah, no, it's it is a wild, unprecedented kind of move. Really, I don't know. It's a weird, because it's not like the show is thousands of years old, right? It's not like like the show was created in the 70s is when it started.
Well, no, that's actually technically not true, because they consider it a different show from when Letterman was hosting. That's a really good question, because Letterman became the host of a CBS late show in the 90s. The whole idea was that he was going to probably get the Tonight Show, and then it went to Leno. That was the whole discussion was, it's going to be Letterman. It's going to be Letterman. And then when that didn't happen, and they also didn't go at Chevy Chase, thank Christ. CBS was like, well, everybody's like, why didn't Letterman get the hosting gig? So they gave David Letterman a show. Which that was The Late Show with David Letterman. And it's crazy because looking at the Wikipedia show for The Late Show with David Letterman, that first started in August 30th of 1993. So within our lifetime, which is crazy, right? You think about the 70s, that's what you think about. But the Tonight Show is the one that dominated the world.
But I mean, but the idea of the late night talk show, celebrity guest, that was always kind of in the water. There have been panel shows on television since television was created, but this particular kind of part of American culture of the late night comedian, we don't maybe watch the whole thing, but we stay up for the monologue. There's something just kind of ingrained in the Americana of it all that alone makes this feel like such a weird move on CBS's part, and then add to that all of the nonsense that is the political side of all of this stuff going on, which is just crazy. But first and foremost, it's it really feels like CBS is shooting themselves in the foot, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's okay, so the first thing that I will point out, just because we were talking about The Late Show with David Letterman and now The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, a distinction between the two programs is for the David Letterman one, it is an American late night talk show hosted by David Letterman. For Colbert, it's an American late night news talk show hosted by Stephen Colbert. And legitimately, it makes me want to look into the Jimmy Kimmel Show and the Fallon Show and say if they also consider themselves news or if they're just considered late night talk shows.
I would, if I had to put money down, I would bet that Fallon would never call when he does that. But Kimmel's not afraid to dip his toe into that kind of shit. So there's a chance that
I'm gonna check it out. Right, we're doing the show. We're doing it live. Yeah, the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is an American late night talk show. And then what's that other guy's name? The Man Show? Is that the name of it?
Jimmy Kimmel. I think
it's just live, right?
Jimmy Kimmel Live, yeah.
So Jimmy Kimmel Live, Wikipedia, is an American late night talk show. So, I mean, that distinction of considering it a news program as well. Now, again, who creates these genre titles, right? Who creates these classifications? That's a question that we are not equipped to answer here at the Say Report. I think you need at least 3 interns.
In terms of like award ceremonies, would it be considered a variety show, right? Isn't that kind of where it falls in those categories?
Yeah, I mean, the big issue that everybody has is that late night, last week tonight is the dominant force in the entire thing, and people are upset about that because all of the shows that it's going up against, the people who are upset about it, like, they're not really upset. It's like that disappointment because it's essentially all of us cooked the best hamburger and John Oliver showed up with filet mignon. And not like on a hamburger bun, but just like, here's a filet mignon, right? Because it's a cooking contest and we have to use beef. So I still technically did that. Like, he has a whole week to prepare where all the other people, it's basically they're writing it in the morning to record either at noon or, like, he just has more time and he also has more resources.
Doesn't do an interview segment, so it can also be dedicated much more towards the writing of bits and news stories and stuff. Yeah,
he's essentially doing video essays on topics, which is very different from the structure that we have come to know since, like, when did the Tonight Show start? Let's just be honest with that, because 1954. If we're going to go back to when, like, that, late night talk shows are the same age as my father. And honestly, I'm sure they're actually older.
Remember
than him.
that?
No. Whoa!
But it was a very common format. It is a very common format with television in general to do panel shows where you would have somebody, like a news person that would have on experts to discuss stuff. I mean, like, you can find panel shows going all the way back to the very start of television because it was kind of part of the idea with TV is that it would come with information, right? Like, information would be broadcast to the masses, and so this kind of educational style, like, it's literally the Socratic method, right? Of like, we don't have somebody stand up and lecture. We have a group work together and discuss in order for us to teach. So this has been baked into the history of TV.
All right, so this blows my mind here. My father is technically older than the Tonight Show because it first premiered on September 27th, 1954. So that's just all sorts of weird, like, numbers related to the Decker family. But back to the topic at hand, right? This whole thing with Stephen Colbert and the fact that he's been doing it for 10 years. He started in 2015. That's when he took over for Letterman. They changed the show around. I believe they do call it a news program because that's what he wants to do. That's what he was doing on the Colbert Report. Granted, in the Colbert Report, it was heavily satirizing the right at the time, because Stephen Colbert, I don't think, would call himself a Republican, but the Stephen Colbert, I don't know. I know that he pronounces his name differently, right, when he's the character. This is, like, such a weird topic for us to be discussing. I'm sorry to Sejohn, I'm sorry to the audience, but the reason we're talking about it is actually not related to the fact that it's canceled, because the cancellation is crazy. The idea that it got canceled despite it being the top, like, it was making money, it was the highest rated of the late shows, but at the same time, that's kind of like saying it's the highest rated of the 3 bear traps that also have bees in them. Right? We like Stephen Colbert's bead bear trap because you got a water view while you're stuck in there contemplating, do I let myself bleed out or do I cut off the foot so I can keep going?
You are a master of metaphors, Devon. Late night television has not been doing well for a while, right? For a multitude of reasons, but not least of which the current kind of atmosphere is. It's hard for people to do that kind of work right now because audiences are cynical, first and foremost. So, like, it's really not that fun to sit around and watch people interview a bunch of celebs that are usually nowadays on apology tours or, like, trying to sell their latest Scientology, like, movie that they swear isn't a Scientology movie. There's there's a lot of bitterness towards the people that are using that as the marketing tool that it is. And then on top of that, like there's also a lot of people that don't want to tune in for the news side of things because they're getting it left, right, and center all day. They don't want to also get it in their entertainment at night just before they go to bed anymore, you know? For a lot of people in the 90s and stuff, you know, the Daily Show really kind of picked up the ball with this once Jon Stewart took over. But in the 90s, there were a lot of people where the news that they were getting every night was from guys like Letterman and Leno and stuff.
Yeah, it was. You talk about, like, you didn't say it maybe for the whole show, but you at least watched the monologue. But most people then didn't shut the TV off. Like, you fell asleep to that in the background. And what late night television has become, and this is something that I have felt for a long time, it's essentially just content farms and factories for YouTube the next day. The Jimmy Fallon show has, like, admitted our real numbers come from the clips we're able to post on YouTube the next morning. And I was having this discussion with some people about, like, nobody really watches late night talk shows anymore. And they're like, no, 70-year-olds do. And I go, funny you should mention that, because my 71-year-old father does not even watch the late night talk shows anymore. In the morning, he watches his CBS, like, morning show. And then once that ends, he puts on the monologues on YouTube. And then he doesn't have to watch the other stuff, but he gets all of that same information, certainly confirming your point that people in the 90s, right? My father is used to getting information, news from those monologues. It's how he keeps his finger on the pulse of popular culture, where, you know, like, our generation is using something like Twitter and or Facebook or Reddit, and Gen Z is using TikTok, and Gen Alpha, I think they went back to smoke signals. I'm not 100% sure how Gen Alpha is getting their information, but it's one of those situations. So
I mean, at this point, it's going to be like straight to the brain, like mind control, right? Like,
yeah,
I have no clue.
That's got to be Gen Bravo.
Next.
Gen Bravo, when they're born, they're given the Matrix port at this point, so that they can just download the propaganda right to the cerebral cortex. It's terrifying. It's just terrifying. But it's one of those situations. And then the reason we're talking about this is not the fact, like, yeah, I mean, like, the writing's kind of been on the wall for a while, that nobody watches these shows live. Is one of the reasons why, you know, I'm not his biggest fan, I'll admit that. I liked him in his episode of Doctor Who, specifically his first episode of Doctor Who. But James Corden, like, his show, he was specifically like, nobody is watching this because it's on after 1 a.m. But a lot of that stuff was made specifically to appeal to YouTube. But again, the reason we're talking about it is then, you know, Jon Stewart, you already brought his name up, saying, I'm nervous for the future of The Daily Show in the wake of the canceling of Stephen Colbert's Late Show. And it's like, well, obviously. Like, in other news, I found a fork in my kitchen and the sky's still blue. You're owned by the same parent company, Paramount. It's no, like, you know what's going on with the South Park guys right now, right? I don't know how into South Park you are, but it's...
But no, you can't miss the news on that. As much as I don't follow South Park as a show religiously anymore, like, everything about Paramount censoring a bunch of, or pulling a bunch of episodes, and they basically are. I mean, they've never been one to stand by that kind of shit. So I'm not surprised that I don't know what Paramount was fucking thinking, like, starting this war with these guys. But that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is the fact that
suing Paramount.
We were supposed to have season 27 of South Park was supposed to have began, like, last week on the 9th. The 9th of July was when they were like, it's finally coming back, because they've been off for a year. Like, they did their specials for Paramount Plus, and then that created the whole issue, because essentially, instead of doing 10-episode seasons, they did 6-episode seasons, and then those 4 additional episodes were 2 specials, because the length of a special is just the length of 2 episodes, but, you know, uninterrupted. It's
right.
Like Red Hot Catholic Love. Instead of having to wait a week to see what happens, we're just going to tell this full story. And they're enjoyable. I like the specials, but that pissed off Warner and David Zaslav in the fact that we have this whole exclusivity for streaming South Park episodes, and you're giving us less episodes, you're in breach of contract. And it has really been Paramount trying to run out the clock on that contract with Warner so that they can have exclusive streaming rights to South Park on Paramount Plus. Because Paramount Plus, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think you subscribe to it right now, right? Do you even have Paramount Plus?
Paramount Plus might be one of the ones that because I free trialed it for a week for some reason. I couldn't even tell you now. And it's probably one of the ones I forgot to cancel. So I actually have to look into that.
Okay. Well, so that's something that there's a to-do list.
That's exactly where that stands for me is if I do, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah. But Paramount Plus doesn't have a killer app right now, right? Or killer program, I guess is what you would call in streaming. For a while,
they don't have their office or...
They had the Good Fight. I mean, Cheers is really their real killer, but people don't care about Cheers the way that they used to. And you can still get, like, the first 4 seasons of Cheers across the board. Like, Hulu has 4 seasons of Cheers, which is crazy because not a lot of people remember that show pre-Woody Harrelson. So you get 3 of what I think are the better seasons of Cheers. But then if you want the episodes that people are like hyper nostalgic about, you have to go to Paramount Plus. And honestly, between you, me, and my water bottle, that seems like the biggest draw that they have. So them wanting South Park, using the specials as a way to get people there. But then South Park released 1 special last year, and then Matt and Trey were like, oh, we're going to go on hiatus because we don't really want to deal with the election. We don't have anything to say on this one. And I get it. They kind of shot themselves in the foot by making Garrison Trump in universe. And then, like, what do? Do you introduce an actual Donald Trump, or do you just keep Garrison as Trump? The way that they did the first time he won. Like, these are real, like, creative questions that I would have no idea how to answer, let alone as guys who, like, have built a bit of an empire for themselves. Like, are they only missing the Oscar for the EGOT? Because they've only been nominated the one time for Blame Canada, right? Yeah.
With, And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in their life if they do end up getting one. Like, something will come along. Like, they'll do, like, a Book of Mormon.
Yeah, if Book of Mormon ever gets a, like, film adaptation and it releases to theaters, not straight to streaming, which is a weird distinction that you have to make in this day and age, I think that they could probably get it for... like one of the actors who portrays it,
adapted
or the song,
or something.
Adapted. Like, I think I'm certainly adapted screenplay seems like right in the wheelhouse of it, to be completely honest with you. But that's what they're missing, right? They're only missing the O in EGOT. And they also have like Casa Bonita, right? They're restaurateurs now all of a sudden. But
which is apparently, from what I understand, doing extremely well, at least in terms of the fact that like it's booked out for like months. Like
I've been able to get multiple reservations, but that's because I'm a founding member, which is just insane to me. But yeah, like and that's just because I was there the first day they opened up reservations and signed up. Like, it's just a weird thing. I don't need to go into that right now. But like, yeah, the Daily Show should be nervous because in addition to all of this, the Stephen Colbert Report, the Stephen Colbert Late Show has been very critical of the fact that CBS settled with Donald Trump like $60 million, right? For what he called slander on 60 Minutes. The whole thing is crazy. Other people have covered it far better than us if you want to look into the controversy. But in addition to that, where you're having the problems that we're seeing with South Park comes from the fact that Skydance is in like negotiations to purchase Paramount. And part of that is just like when you're selling a house, the new buyer wants to make sure that there's no like hidden structural damage or they're not going to be getting a lemon when they buy Paramount. And
they don't want to be owing somebody a bunch of fucking money in a lawsuit they had no hand in.
right. They don't want to inherit some huge scandal because when we brought South Park back to Paramount Plus, we've decided to restore the 5 forbidden episodes of South Park. Because that's a fact. There are 5 episodes of South Park that will never be broadcast again. They're available on DVD, but even then, I don't think they're being printed anymore, so you'd have to track them down. And that's the Cartoon Wars 2-parter. It's 200 and 201, and it's Super Best Friends, because all of it relates to showing the image of the Prophet Muhammad and everything that is related to that. The craziest part about that is the Super Best Friends one, that was done before all of the, frankly, just terrorist-related insanity related to showing an image of the Prophet Muhammad. Are we going to get in trouble for alluding to an image of the Prophet Muhammad, Sejohn? Like, should I not have done this? Like, now that's what's going through my head right now, right?
Considering our listen numbers, I think we're fine.
I think we should be okay, right? You never know, right? We are listened to over there. It's no. But yeah, so, like, you should have already been nervous about The Daily Show. Because do you know when people watch The Daily Show? It's Monday nights when Jon Stewart hosts. I don't know anybody who watches the show live anymore. And I've seen the ratings. The only ones that, like, really even move the needle are those nights when he is the host. Now, that being said, I like the other hosts. And the reason I know that is because my father, again, watches the bits on YouTube. Nobody I know is watching late night TV live.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, I mean, like, so there is definitely something that makes sense to these shows starting to go away. It's just wild that it started with the one that's still at the top of its game, essentially, And here's the thing. So if you take something from the bottom of a pile, let's say this is a structure. Let's say, just because I'm apparently the master of metaphors, it is the cheerleaders at halftime doing their pyramid, right? We have 10 cheerleaders, they're in a pyramid. You take Cindy J off the top of the pyramid, those other 9 cheerleaders are going to be fine. But if you eliminate Samantha Wong from the bottom of the pyramid, everybody's going to fall. So the fact that it is the guys who are on top, who are being taken away from the late night game, is it going to have rippling effects for, like, Kimmel and Fallon? Or are they going to still be able to be propped up until NBC and ABC, let's be completely honest, Universal and Disney decide it's no longer worth it? You know what we never really talked about on the show? We clearly alluded to it, but we never gave it like it's proper. The fact that Around the Fucking Horn ended on ESPN. And I don't understand the why of that. Like, I monetarily, like, was it hard to produce? We live in a world right now where any kid in their basement with a $10 webcam and a $30 capture card can stream on Twitch for free. Right? There's no barrier of entry. And probably do it with better quality than half of the guys they had on Around the Horn.
Right, like Around the Horn, yes, they did have on-site techs who set them up and filmed it. And I don't think it was like a cost issue with Around the Horn. And it's not as if they got rid of both of their happy hour shows, right? PTI is still going. And Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, I love them. I'm big fans of them. I still watch Pardon the Interruption. And I gotta say, those are shows that we watch live in this house, right? Or they're shows that were always on in the bar at that 5 o'clock hour. But that show has to cost way more money than it does, because they maintain a studio just for Pardon the Interruption. And there are times where, like, for weeks at a time, Kornheiser's doing it from his house and Wilbon's doing it on location because he's traveling to cover the NBA. But they still have a maintained studio and and studio staff. Like, I don't get it. Like, that seems to be like, if you're going to eliminate one of those programs, that seems like the more expensive one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what caused the cancellation on it. Like, it wasn't like somebody. To my knowledge, there was no like controversy or anything like that. They didn't say anything.
I mean, it's sort of like, remember the sports reporters? I used to love the sports reporters. One of the reasons we now record on Sundays for this show is that bit of that nostalgia for getting to watch the sports reporters every Sunday morning sit down and talk about sports. Now, we talk about everything here, right? And we don't have two other people, right? We only have James Bond and Mitch Albom. We're missing out on Bob Ryan, and I don't remember who the fourth, like, usual guy would be there. But like that show, and that was once, and now that show I understood why it was canceled. As much as it pains me to say that, but it does. One of the hosts, I believe he passed away, so it was difficult to find somebody who could steer the ship the same way. But more importantly, the sports reporters was essentially around the horn in church clothes. We're able to do a sports reporters every day of the week now. We're still talking to sports reporters. We're talking to actual journalists about this topic, and we're able to produce an episode every day, as opposed to essentially a last week tonight sports edition that sports reporters was. So I get it. Like, that niche is filled. But part of the interruption is not the same show as Around the Horn. They are certainly not, like, it's not redundant. Getting rid of things like Highly Questionable, which was essentially Around the Horn meets Pardon the Interruption. I understood that one. Plus, it was called Highly Questionable. I mean, from the start, it's like, why are we doing this?
It openly admits that it has no confidence in its own self.
Right? It also would be like if my father was just here for color commentary in episodes of the Say Report, right? Because like Dan Le Batard's father was there, which was weird. I mean, I think it was him who did that one. Honestly, Highly Questionable was, I only ever saw it be as lead-in to Around the Horn. But like, we are watching long established programs go by the wayside because people have turned their attention to streaming platforms and online-based entertainment. But also we're hearing that streaming platforms and online-based entertainment are not functioning as well as they could be or should be or once were. Like, I don't understand. But I am going to use that as a segue to the thing that we were talking about before the show started. I promise we're going to talk about fun things. We have, like, 40-year-old arcade games that just got weird modernization releases over the past couple of days that I actually want to talk about. And this is a fun thing. I think this is a fun thing in terms of, like, it seems like old media is dying and it's going to be replaced by a new media format that's already kind of on life support. I just don't get it. But I do want to talk about, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but this came to my attention via a Twitter post, and that is the fact that the film We're All Gonna Die, I'm going to make sure I get the name right, was pirated by its director, Freddie Wong. And, like, that seems like a path that kind of makes sense to me in terms of, I mean, at the same time, it's basically just YouTube, right? And even YouTube is not happy with the YouTube method of making money anymore. But when you have a director, say, like, because he took his movie from the original, like, 4K, 10-bit, like, master files, he coded a version of the film, and he's the one who put it up on these torrent websites. And before it, he recorded a special message. You know, like when you go see Sonic the Hedgehog in the theater, and there's James Marsden being like, thanks for coming to support the theaters. It's like that level of message, and it's the director saying, in this day and age, your movie's going to get pirated. So rather than have that happen, I have created this version of the film that is, like, immaculate. It's perfect. It's based on the highest quality copy of this film we have that we have released to you. And then at the end of it, if you liked the movie, go to my website and give us a few dollars. And you know where that money goes? Like 90% of that money goes straight into his pocket. It's not going to a distributor. It's not going to a studio. I mean, the reason I say 90% is that I don't know exactly which service he is using to process those payments. But, every payment processing company, they only exist to take like 10% off the top of the money that goes through them, right? Mm-hmm. Money might have been the fucking mistake, if we're being honest. Nobody was asking for like 10% of the wampum you were trading. I don't know. I'm just... the barter system. But I think could you think that could be a sustainable thing instead of like making all of these deals with distributing platforms like Amazon and is it Google Movies still, or has it been changed to like YouTube Movies? That's a word that you understand.
It's like Google Television, I think is what it is, or Google something like
Google
that.
Google Play, the Google Play Store, is that it? Like, I don't know anything about it.
No, that's Google's big problem with a lot of this stuff is they were trying to fold everything together at some point, and then YouTube Music kind of became like the music app. Google Podcast went away, and people were so upset and stuff. And they've completely fucked the market in that regard. It's the same problem Microsoft has with the whole Xbox brand now. Is now people never know what Xbox you're talking about, and so it's completely like fucked the market value of that name.
If we've already talked about it on the show, I would just want to you let me down a detour hole, and we'll get back to the topic that was at hand. Do you know what Xbox stands for? Do you know why it's called that?
Piles of cash and just leaving just the dead studios in its wake.
Okay, so that's what it stands for fundamentally. Those are like the code of conduct and decorum that is posted every 3 feet along the walls of their corporate offices. No, but I mean specifically why it's called the Xbox.
No.
Okay, so all they did was take a Windows machine, a machine that was running Windows, and eliminate everything except for DirectX from it. So it is just a Direct Xbox, and then they got rid of the Direct, and now it's just an Xbox. I think, right? Like, that is what that means. I don't think a lot of people know that. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I wanted to take this brief moment to share it. Back to what we were talking about. So there is a Google like storefront where they make money by selling movies. I don't know what it's called. But rather than do that, distribute these movies and then hope that people are going to be willing to give money to you after the fact. Like directly to you.
So yeah, it feels like what it feels like really to me is the next evolution in the Kickstarter system that has really become kind of the bread and butter of a lot of indie development, both in film and video games and stuff. But the biggest thing being with that is that you pay in advance with the promise of getting the product eventually. It's a bold move to provide the product in advance. I honestly, one that's needed though in that realm, because that was becoming rife with just all sorts of scandals of like people getting a bunch of money and then disappearing, or final products not being what was promised in the first place. And so there's something really there's something really quaint almost about it in some ways, like the ways like yeah, we made a movie and we know that you could give $1. It reminds me of like the early Humble Bundle days.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. I haven't watched the movie yet, but after I watch the movie, unless I am like deeply offended, and that's going to take a lot for Devin Decker to be deeply offended, I am committing right now by the fact that I pirated that film to give them the minimum amount that a movie ticket would cost me, which as of right now is $5, right? I'll even bump it up to $7 because I'd probably see it in the laser projection, where there is a $2 surcharge for the fact that it's in a premium format theater. Like, I'm willing to. Me going and finding that torrent to download a copy of We're All Gonna Die. First of all, to have that copy with the special message from the director, which I think is cool, right? I think it's cool to have that. It's a unique version of that film. When I went...
No, go ahead.
No, but when I went sailing for that, to myself I said... At the very least, I am going to contribute the cost of a movie ticket to this film. And honestly, that is huge. Because when I go buy a fucking movie ticket at the cinema, maybe $1 of that winds up going to the person who made the movie. Right?
Yeah. Well,
and so being like just so super...
that to give a little context to the history of Rocket Jump specifically, and like getting to this point of putting this movie out here like this, Rocket Jump is in the early days of YouTube, was one of the very big like YouTube channels, and they would do all sorts of silly videos, really cool like stunt videos and things like that. A lot of mixing like early like, hey, like watch this skateboarder pull off a 900 mixed with like we're gonna recreate like Halo in the backyard and we're gonna play Halo like live, and then mix that with like scripted stuff of like silly like sci-fi comedy videos and things. So they made the jump really early on. No pun intended. But they were one of the very first kind of big YouTube groups to get so big and start making so much scripted content, and they were getting better and better and better at making it, and they were getting billions of views, like not on like one video, but like they were pulling in billions of views, and YouTube was like, they were very proud of them and willing to give them a lot more money and things like that. They were one of the first ones to hit like 7 million subs or something. Like, but all of that is to say that 5-6 years ago, they made the move to producing television and preferably film content, like movie content, and they have been struggling. And they very like famously have talked about how it doesn't matter how popular you are on YouTube. The movie industry and the television industry, they don't get that. They don't see the value add of that, and it's still part of the story of the day, because like you hear about guys like you had Markiplier, the Mark Fishbach, who went through all of the shit he went through with his stuff with Amazon, where they held a movie of his hostage because of they just didn't understand. It's like some person in the chain didn't give a shit who he was and couldn't understand why people were bending over backwards for him, and tried pulling the plug on a show of his that already started. And he's kind of alluded to some of this stuff in some videos that he's put out about why they ended up pulling one of his shows that had started on Amazon. Then Amazon was like, we're not going to even market this for you, and he was like, well, then I want my fucking show back. like what is this? And that's when he found out it was because like one person in like the chain at Amazon couldn't figure out why they had spent a bunch of money on a YouTube video, and so he was just like, fuck this noise, and pulled it, and now it's available on Tubi for free. But he has a movie that he's trying to get put out, distributed, that Amazon had apparently optioned on, and all of this that is now lost in the sauce that he can't get back from them right now because of everything that went on with the TV show that he produced. But it was all because some asshole just didn't get that, like, this is a guy with like millions of views per video on YouTube. Like, this is a guy with a built-in audience. And Rocket Jump was another big example of that. They had a built-in fucking audience of shit. And the fact that they couldn't make that leap to film to television was so surprising. They had a show. Rocket Jump had a show. I think it was like 6 or 7 episodes long, but it just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, look at YouTube too. Like, what you're talking about, even that does not work for the platform of YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And then when they were offering, because what you're talking about, that is certainly a thing that occurred, and that's one of the reasons why YouTube was like, oh, well, what if we partner with our biggest creators and give them shows? And now most of those people are like, I've retired from creating content. Right?
Yeah.
Specifically thinking about like MatPat and the whole Theory network, where like they gave him a budget to like actually be able to create like professional, and not that his stuff wasn't professional, but like quotated professional Hollywood level things, and that really seems to be what kind of burned him out. Like,
well, there's question it's really questionable how much YouTube is actually contributing money wise really to this stuff. They are more than happy to profit off of these creators while not contributing that much, which I think is part of the whole thing, is that they're more than happy to platform you. They're more than happy to talk about like pushing you in certain ways and putting you in certain places, but they're not actually, from everything that I understand, actually monetarily contributing to channels at all, really. Like the most that they're involved in that regard is making sure ad revenue gets to the right place. But even then, they're more than happy to fuck with that algorithm as well too. So like on top of all of this, YouTube is also just not very helpful to its creators either, right? It's you've got to be pretty high up on the level of creators to even get their attention when something goes wrong, and even then you're not guaranteed anything. We hear about people getting their vids pulled all the time for stupid reasons, and like high end, like many views, like million view videos getting pulled because in the background there was an Eagles song playing for 20 seconds, and apparently Don Henley's is like a litigious shit.
On that, I wasted a little bit of time yesterday reading the entire Wikipedia page for the Village People. That was a read that kind of like blew my mind.
There's a lot of sad stories in that history.
It's and some weird stuff if you're interested in that. But yeah, like I just
isn't there like one guy for the Village People who's still around who like actively tries to talk about how they didn't want to be representative of like the gay lifestyle, and like to be clear, that is not true. Like they were part like they were so open, and like they were huge proponents or hugely progressive in like the AIDS battle and stuff like that. It denies a ton of their history to say that they were not a gay band. But there's like one guy from that group nowadays who I think played like the cop. Obviously,
is the cop the only one who's around? The only one who's still a Village person is the cop. Last name is Willis. I don't remember his first name. I know I just read it. There's so many names that go into it. And he was brought on, like, because the whole story of the Village People is these two French producers were doing really well in France. And they're like, let's go tackle America. And you say, like, yeah, oh no, YMCA is not a gay anthem. That's his whole, like, that's what he crows all the time. And that he will go after anyone who says the YMCA is a gay anthem, which, like, pausing for station identification. Hi, I'm Devon Decker from the Colbert Report, and I 100% believe the YMCA by the Village People is a gay anthem. Come at me, police officer man. I'm not afraid of you. And then this is where it starts. Like, people are going to ask when it started for me. It's going to be right here. And you were listening, not live, really, because we don't do this live, but still. Like, they came here, and then where they saw, oh, we could take advantage of this represented group of people, and they essentially were the original, and I have no issue with Pride Month. I love Pride Month. I think that I'm happy that it exists, but how corporations had co-opted Pride Month so that they could increase their profits and revenues was a little disgusting, right? It's right up there with the Juneteenth flavored ice cream at Walmart, which
Fuck
may
that,
or
man.
may not be
Everybody else
true.
Gets pandered to. Why shouldn't the LGBTQ community?
Because they're not doing it as pandering to them. They know for a fact that it will make them money. And there's no bigger thing than the fact that, like, Pride this year
soft
from
acceptance
the
is still acceptance, considering how shitty it's gotten. Now everybody's back to hiding it in the closet again.
Yeah. No. But that's what they did. Like, the Village People is short for the, like, East Village people. And it's specifically meant to shine a light on the gayborhoods that were existing all over the countries during the disco craze of the 70s. Like, it's a good read. It gets sad at the end when you read about, like, how he was vehemently against Trump using YMCA at his rallies, and then eventually the Village People. And when I say the Village People, I mean the original cop. I gotta look up his name, because first of all, I did kind of call him out by saying that the YMCA is most definitely a gay anthem. You can't control how people take your music, right? That'd be like if Rick Astley's like, "Nah, never gonna give you up" is not a meme. What are you talking about? It's still a meme, Mr. Astley. Thank you for embracing it. Sorry, I'm looking up the Village People now. You wanna vamp while I do this, Sejohn?
While you do another deep dive down the rabbit hole.
Victor Willis. Victor Willis is the name.
Yeah,
he played the police officer, and he is the only remaining member of the Village People. But yeah, like going from I don't want Trump using YMCA at his rallies to performing at the second inauguration when he won the 47th presidency of this country, like that's a like just disheartening journey to read about. That is, yeah.
I don't know, man.
That the cherry on top is the fact that now he goes out of his way to be like litigious against people who claim that the YMCA is a gay anthem. That's okay. Yeah. So that's that. One other sad thing. Once we get to the hour mark, we'll shift gears like crazy to like fun things to talk about. But I've been living with like a bit of an inherent sadness for the last week, because what we started last weekend was the final season of The Cleaning Lady. Have you ever watched The Cleaning Lady? Are you familiar with this series at all, Sejohn?
It's a little like Breaking Bad-ish, right?
Kind of. She does not choose to. I guess Walter. I don't really know much about like Breaking Bad, but Walter White.
No, but it's like a crime like syndicate style show, right?
Yeah. Tony De La Rosa. She was a surgeon in Manila. She was a chief surgeon at a hospital in Manila, but she had to come to America because her son had a rare disease that could only be treated in American hospitals. But because America is so gatekeepy that like, oh, that's nice that you were a surgeon in Manila and you did everything to be a surgeon in Manila, but you got to do what it takes to be a surgeon in America if you want to be a surgeon here. She instead...
it's a pretty classic immigrant story.
Yeah. All right. I think, yeah, like here I am janitor. In Russia, I was nuclear physicist, right? From the Big Bang Theory. Crazy. Like that just hurts, right? So she ends up, she's a cleaning woman. She's doing cleaning in Las Vegas because her sister-in-law is doing cleaning. And it's a fairly simple job to get as someone who is undocumented in America. We still see this. So she's a cleaning woman, and then one day while she's cleaning, she witnesses a murder, and they're going to kill her, but she says, no, I'll be your cleaning lady, right? I'll be the person you call. Like, look at this mess. You just shot this guy in the head. There's blood all over. I can clean that up for you. So she ends up doing that. And the show is, like, on the outside of just the series, took some really weird stuff because Adam Canto, I think that's his name, his character name was Aiden, so it gets like a little, is his name Aiden thing? And I know that is like ridiculous. It's just because they're very close sounding to each other. Let me see if I can find him. Yeah, so he played Armand and his real name is Aiden Canto. And they had a whole Bible. Like, this show is based on an Argentinian program. They had an idea of where they wanted to go, but then he passed away January 8th of 2024. And luckily, the whole like start of the third season was that he was abducted, but the plan was that they were going to find them, and then these blossoming feelings between him and Tony would finally be realized because he really liked her. He liked how hard she was working because he was an immigrant as well who had to work hard to become this big like crime boss sort of guy. So he respected her hustle basically, and how she would do anything for her family. But when that actor passed away, they had to like shift gears midstream. So the third season is like
that sucks.
Woefully like unbalanced with like episodes that introduce you to the characters who are meant to take over for the character of Armand. and like they put a bunch of the stuff that was on Armand onto his wife, who like she was always kept clean from the business, but then for the 4th season, because they didn't have to clean up that mess, like they just hit the ground running and never took their foot off of the accelerator. The 4th season of The Cleaning Lady, I think, could be watched on its own and be enjoyable. They give you enough setup, but it is, and they really lean into the whole Argentinian, like, sort of soap opera telenovela feel. Like every episode ends on a cliffhanger, or with the setup of what the next one's going to be. Where like the prior ones were not like that. And as much as I have loved the 4th season, before the 11th episode came out, they announced that the show was canceled. So the 11th and 12th episode were already shot, so like we're probably not going to get a satisfying ending, which is the disappointing thing. I don't understand why they do that either, right? Like the fact that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, right? I can tie it all together, is canceled, but it's going to be doing new episodes through May of 2026. If this show is such a fucking albatross around your neck, why don't you just stop it? Like, I understand that, like, you'd have a contract you'd need to buy out, but aren't you, like, still paying him anyway? And then, like, also spending resources to create a show that you think is not doing anything? Like, I don't get that part of it. And
there's a number of different things to consider, and contracts is always going to be the number one thing. I wonder what kind of contracts they already have in place for things like not just him, but also guests and stuff. You know, like some stuff that's already
probably
like,
the big, like, follow the money, right? Like if there are people who've bought like year contracts for advertising, those you can't lose that money. And
the advertising money, right? Exactly. There's a couple of things in place that they probably already and you can say, hey, you can just buy Stephen Colbert out of a contract and end it now, but I bet you he has some pretty good like contingencies in there, especially considering some of the history behind that role.
Yeah, right. You bring up a good point there. I guess the reason I bring it up and I point that out is just the fact that, but at the same time, you're still going to be paying him, right? Like buying out the contract. I guess if you're smart, if you're a good negotiator, the buyout would be more than what you'd be making if you like actually honored the contract, right? Like it'd be like 1.5 what your earnings would have been for the year instead of just the one. Like,
right, because then on top of that, I now have to go find a new job, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not just buying me out of my contract, and I don't have to work. Like, no, I still have to go figure something fucking else.
Yeah,
out.
like it's not. Yeah. So there's that whole thing, but yeah. So this show, I don't understand when they announce that a show is canceled when there are still episodes to air, because it's like a lot of people will just stop watching the show then.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know. Nobody watches anything live. But so they announced that. And so we finally got to sit down and watch The Cleaning Lady. And this small inherent sadness. And it's not just because it was really good, but it really drives home the fact that almost every minority-led television program that was on broadcast television was canceled during the 2024 to 2025 season. And that is just disgusting. Like, I like, and even looking at it like for like ABC's fall thing, really the only two like heavy minority-led series are Abbott Elementary and Grey's Anatomy. And I kind of feel like I can also put, like 911 or The Rookie there, but they're more ensemble pieces. And like The Rookie focuses on Nathan Fillion. I love that he is surrounded by a diverse like cast of characters, but Nathan Fillion's the reason you're coming. Same with 911, right? Like you're coming there for Angela Bassett, but there's a lot of, white people in that show as well. So
it's just there's not a show that's focused on minority issues. really, right? Like, even though there may be good like minority leads in these things, and they may have a plot line or two that will focus on minority issues, that's not like the core concept. It's kind of like what we were talking about a couple of weeks back with the Reacher and
Cross, Alex Cross, yeah,
right, like, and the ways in which like Cross does this because you mentioned like looking for like a good like minority run TV show, and I immediately think like, yeah, one that actually dives into actual like meaty stories about like the minority experience, and like Cross is one of those ones that I think did that. But I mean, that came out a year ago at this point, right? Didn't we read the dates on that?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of like what a big show is that I know of a lot of people watching right now. Paradise like had another really good ensemble show that has a lot of really good representation across the map. Got a bunch of Emmy noms. I still don't know if I love that show or hate it. It's so fucking batshit. But that's a big one that is everybody's talking about at the moment, just because of the award announcements.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking time off from TV because I'm like I'm traveling. But like come August, that's probably going to be like the top of the list for shows that we watch as a family, because we're going to have that time, right, to like watch things. We're now officially caught up on everything except for like the sitcoms from the 2024-2025 season, and even then it's just Ghosts and Night Court, and Ghosts just got a 2-year renewal, but Night Court got canceled. I don't know if I'm going to watch the 3rd season of Night Court. It had kind of gone off the rails by the finale of the 2nd season. And they eliminated a bunch of, like, minority characters, right? I'm just saying, like, it's just a thing that we're seeing in Hollywood. And it's disappointing. I mean, even going back to, we watched, like, just on TV last night, because we were packing, we're getting things ready. We had on the 3rd episode of The Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah. And the first things, they all look so young, which is crazy, because this is only 4 years ago. Right? Like this, but they look like babies in that first season of The Equalizer. But then the other thing is seeing how in those 4 years, when they got rid of, like, Christopher Noth was a big draw of the, like, first season of The Equalizer. Like, he was a big part of that. And then everything about how he got Me Too'd, and like they killed him off in the show, but they still like made it a way that like wasn't just, we have to get rid of the problem in the room. Like, they did it, that built character and everything like that. And then they ended up replacing him with Donald Logue, which, as much as you and I love Donald Logue, I don't think if you asked 10 people on the street, more than 2 would be able to tell you something he was in. Which I'm willing to put to the test, right? Gotham is where you go with that. I go with Blade. Gotham's fine. Gotham's a fine answer.
I mean, Gotham was a successful television show in which he was the second lead. I think he actually got nominated for awards for that show.
Because he was Harry in that show, right?
Harvey.
Bullock.
Yeah, he was Harvey Bullock. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I also think, like,
amazing.
Grounded for Life, right? Like, that was 7
Well, yeah,
seasons,
right. Grounded
like,
for Life, you and I will talk about until the end of it. But like, legitimately, I think that Gotham was a show that people watched that he was in. I think that's not a hard pull right nowadays.
But again, it's one of those, I mean, it's worth testing. I'm willing to ask 10 people on the street if they know who Donald Logue is. But what I will say is that as The Equalizer went on, it embraced more of its like African American identity, and like her hair started looking more like reflective of it, and not things that like, we don't want to scare away the advertisers with this Equalizer series. Like, it was weird watching that, and then thinking that like The Equalizer was canceled, and I'm not sure why, because the 3rd movie just came out and did really well. And while the 2 Equalizers exist in separate, dimensions, universes, like they're still getting people viewing. Look at SWAT, right? They canceled SWAT after season 6, brought it back for season 7, canceled it after season 7, brought it back for season 8, and now they're going to do a spin-off series, though I don't even know what that's supposed to be. That feels like some fucking Disney Channel dirty pool where, after 3 seasons, everybody's making a little bit too much money. So we'll cancel The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but we'll bring on The Sweet Life on Deck. And because it's a new show, that means new contracts and lower wages for everybody. Ho ho, it's a miracle. All right, it's 15 seconds till the hour mark. Anything sad or depressing you want to dump into the last start hour of this season?
No, we got things to talk about. Nothing too sad or depressing. I guess in video game news, Cyberpunk is officially up on PlayStation Plus, which is basically all I've been waiting for on that game to play it. And so I downloaded it, started playing it, got like 20 minutes in and then distracted with family stuff, which is like never a good thing with a game like that, like story oriented, and have not gone back to it. So I don't know. I do intend to actually finally play Cyberpunk, which is cool. But man, the fact that it's been free now for almost 5 days and I have not actually put much into it probably says that I've got an uphill battle here. Not saying that the game is definitely a big write-off yet, but I didn't expect at this point. I have been waiting for that game to be available at an acceptable price point to me for a while, and I'll be damned if it's free and an acceptable price point for me. So the fact that it is now available to me and I have not jumped on it is telling about my feelings currently, I guess.
And again, just to make sure everybody understands, it's not part of the PlayStation Plus, like free games that you can download. That's if you're an extra or premium member. It's part of the library now.
Yeah, they added it to the library now, yeah.
Does it include the DLC? Or, because I know they had the DLC on heavy discount. Is that so that you, like somebody as a plus? Yeah, so it does not include the DLC. The Phantom Liberty is the DLC I believe you're talking about. Yeah. It does not include the DLC in that, but the DLC, as Devin mentioned, is heavily discounted. So for like $20, you basically could play the main game and all of that if you're paying for that premium experience. Yeah. Which, as of the release of this episode on July 21st, you have 2 more days to get that DLC at a heavy discount. And the game itself is less than $20 right now. Again, we're not shilling for it, but it's
like in that same discount, I ended up picking up SteamWorld. They had a bundle pack available for SteamWorld Build, which is the kind of isometric 3D top-down like world builder, Sims style world builder in the SteamWorld environment. They had a bundle of that and the latest SteamWorld Heist 2 that I have just been I adore that game, and it was cheaper than getting just a single one of them. If you bought, like, it was like $15 for both of them, and so like I bought. I was like looking at Cyberpunk, looking at Phantom Liberty, thinking, oh, $20 I could do this. And then I found SteamWorld, one game that I have played probably 200 hours worth on between my Switch and my PC. Bought that game again and put another like 20 hours into SteamWorld Heist 2, in addition to having SteamWorld Heist Build now as well, or SteamWorld Build now as well. So like so like completely blew off Cyberpunk to play SteamWorld games instead.
I mean, that tracks. I almost bought SteamWorld Dig 2 because it was on really good discount, and I watched someone like they were doing like one of the 24-hour marathons. And
is such a good building of what SteamWorld Dig was.
Yeah,
like,
because I was
SteamWorld Dig 2 has like RPG elements to it, almost like Metroidvania elements to it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I was watching a streamathon and like someone nominated that game. Like, yeah, I'll play it. And I watched until I realized that the main character of SteamWorld Dig 2, her whole mission is to find the character from the first one. And I'm like, I gotta bounce, because like I didn't realize how good a sequel concept it was. That it like legitimately builds on. I mean, you've been extolling the virtues of the SteamWorld series for a while, but like I've asked for no spoilers.
So the heist games take place kind of in the far-flung future from the Dig games, because the events of the Dig games lead to the world being in the state that it's in those games. The ways in which all those games are so interconnected is one of the most like endearing parts of that whole series.
Yeah, but when Dot showed up and she's like, I'm looking for Rusty, I'm like, oh, whoa, I gotta pause this and I gotta go play SteamWorld Dig 2 because, oh my goodness. But I didn't want to get into a new game because one of the centerpieces of the discussion today is the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 has another game, Sejohn. Donkey Kong Bananza's there.
Bonanza.
Sorry. Oh, I shouldn't have done that live on the show. Oh, my lungs hurt because I hit them while yelling. Inside and outside lung pain. Whew, that was a mistake. Sorry.
Oh, Devin collects himself.
Yeah. So it's out there. It's out there, and I'm very excited to be playing it. I will say this, though. It took a little bit of time for the game to feel like it really started, which is really not new for Nintendo. They have longer tutorials. The opening tutorial section was like really, really good, but then you go. So the whole point of it, like I'm gonna try to do this spoiler free, is that Donkey Kong has decided to become a miner because there's just so much gold and bananas in the earth that he's like, I'm gonna be a miner now. And while mining for bananas and gold, he gets sucked into a sub-layer of the planet that they're on. I don't know if it's necessarily Earth, right? It's Donkey Kong planet, right?
Yeah.
So, and that whole first section is great. Like, it's a really nice introduction to the different types, like, because you can attack forward, you can attack up, you can attack down. It's an interesting control scheme where, like, the left button is the one that attacks forward. The top button is up, and as it's out of the box, the bottom button attacks downward. Which, hold on, I have a Switch controller, so I'll actually give that. B is down, Y is forward, X is up. And then jump is on A. But you can switch that, and that was kind of the first thing that I did, because I like my jump being on the B button. Call me old-fashioned. And then, so it's Y attacks forward, X attacks up, and A attacks downward. And that still works because, like, up is X, and then below that is the down. It works. So it gives you this really good everything that you can destroy, the elements and the prizes you get for destroying, like, really, really enjoyable. And then you get to the first sub-level, and that is more about, like, teaching you how to be given a mission and complete that mission. And I was feeling, and I saw an article, and I haven't been able to re-find it today, saying that gold has no use in Donkey Kong Bananza, but I'm still going to collect all of it. And that is, if you're somebody who only played like an hour of the game, gold has no use until you get to sub-layer of the planet 200, where you finally find like shops and things where you can spend your gold on stuff. And that's weird. Like, it's weird to be like, I'm collecting all this gold and it really doesn't have a use at all. Like, the Bonanza powers, like the ability to become like the bigger gorilla or the zebra gorilla or the flying gorilla. Spoilers, but they showed off too much in the trailers to sell this game. I miss the Nintendo that kind of like trusted that their audience would be along for the ride. This Nintendo that like, oh, we need to show you everything about the game so that you'll buy it is it's strange. And I'm happy to say that even knowing that, like, when the character that was revealed in the trailer, I'm not going to say their name, that moment still had a lot of heart, and it got a tear out of my eye. Like, I'm like, I knew this was coming, but they still wrote a compelling moment here where I cared about what just happened.
So I will say that Nintendo, you're not wrong. Nintendo has very much been overly transparent, I think, in a lot of their marketing. But they've also always been very clear about what their marketing is going to be. Like, before a Nintendo Direct pretty much what it's going to be, and you can decide if you want to see that or not, right? Like, they have been very clear in what they're doing with their marketing, but they also kind of are good about giving you kind of that spoiler warning in advance, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those, like Dale did not watch the Donkey Kong Bonanza, like, deep dive stream. She's like, I don't want to have the game ruined for me. And then I watched it because I'm like, I was not feeling it. I'll be honest with you. After the disappointment of Mario Kart World, I'm like, I need to know what this game's going to be because I don't want to be disappointed again. And it made me more excited for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'll be completely honest with you. It also is the reason why I own the Amiibo, which we're going to talk about the Amiibo and the problem I have with the Amiibo a little bit later in this whole discussion.
Does it not taste as good as the old ones?
No, it tastes fine. And I will say this, I'm happy that Amiibo Donkey Kong is not wearing the overalls. He's naked as a jaybird. No, I'll address it now, because this will be the shit in the middle of the compliment sandwich of the game, is the fact that they sell it on, you get an exclusive outfit for one of the characters if you use the Amiibo. That outfit is not exclusive to just the Amiibo. It is something that can be earned in-game, which, I mean, that's something that I was afraid of anyway, but I also liked the look of the Amiibo. It looks really good next to my King K. Rool Amiibo, right? Nice. It tracks. I have a bunch of Donkey Kong themed Amiibo. As a person who doesn't collect Amiibo outside of ones that have like a personal connection with the games that I play, a la the fact that I have a Mega Man Amiibo and a Shovel Knight Amiibo, like those make sense to me. Right? For better or for ill.
I have a Toad Amiibo. It's the only one I got, but I use it every time they're like, you can use an Amiibo for this.
Sometimes it does nothing.
Yep, sometimes it doesn't work.
But specifically, I'll look at something like Echoes of Wisdom. Echoes of Wisdom has outfits tied to Amiibos that you cannot get any other way. So when they say it's an exclusive outfit, that could mean, it's exclusively unlocked with the Amiibo, or it's exclusive to the Amiibo. Fucking, I hate our language sometimes. I'm just going to be honest about that.
Yeah.
But it is something that it has been confirmed you unlock the exact same outfit as a post-game reward. So it is a way to have that post-game reward while you're still playing. But then also, you cannot unlock it until you get to sub-layer 800 of the game. Now, I know that sounds big, right? Like, you're not going down layer by layer. I'm going to tell you that. I've only completed, the first couple of areas right now, and all of them seem to be, 3 to 5 layers as you explore, and then you go down, a big tunnel that takes you to a next sub-layer. And that is where you unlock the Amiibo. I'm a little upset that it didn't have, super tiny text that said outfit can only be unlocked after a certain point in the game. Because, the amount of articles that exist to say your Amiibo is not broken, you just need to get to a certain point to unlock the outfit that they sold you the Amiibo on, is kind of staggering and gross. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, especially if the outfit is already unlockable by playing a lot. The whole reason you buy the Amiibo is to get it immediately, so that you don't have to wait to play the game. But if you still have to play the game, you're literally gaining nothing by buying the Amiibo.
Yeah, the Amiibo is essentially, you have a little trophy that says, I bought the DLC for this game. And because you get that little trophy, the DLC for the game is $30. I'm gonna be that's insane, right? For an outfit, you spend $30 to get that little thing. All right, this is the negative part of the review of the game. I'm going to just be honest with that. So the fact that you don't get it immediately, that's a little disappointing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. That sounds so stupid
yeah.
or angering.
I mean, you still get the Kong letters that show up, and that's extra money in your pocket, which again, it takes until the 200th sublayer where you realize that money has value. Up until then, when you die, you lose some money, but if you have no money, it's not like a game over screen
Wait,
comes up
the Kong. Talk to me. The Kong letters are tied to the DLC.
to the amiibo. If you scan
amiibo.
any Donkey Kong themed amiibo, including the King K. Rool one, the Kong letters that were made famous by the Donkey Kong Country games, they show up in the world, and like you can pick them up and use them as projectiles, or you can break them, and each letter is worth, I'm not 100% sure how much, but they are made of gold, so it is free money in your pocket, and that can be
but
done
the Kong
as many
letters aren't
times
there
as you
otherwise
want.
because that's such a fun part.
I don't know. I don't know if they're there otherwise. I haven't found them in either of the 2 levels that I've completed so far. I will say that.
Okay.
But the fact that like gold has no value, because like you find the first shop where you can buy outfits, and it's very similar. Like this is the spiritual successor to Mario Odyssey. There's the same director worked on it. It feels like the same game, except for the fact that instead of Cappy, you have Odd Rock with you. Wink, wink. But then each layer has its own currency that you need to collect in order to buy the exclusive outfits that are there. And those are fossils. Like while you're digging, you find fossils, and it's interesting, but very Mario Odyssey coded. And I don't know. And it's a Nintendo open world where rather than there being like a way to have everything on the map, you go to the shop and you spend money to have it show you the bananas that you're missing or the fossils that you're missing, which I'm fine with. I like that, but it's a big empty open world until you find someone that you can make that exchange with to be able to see the things you can do in the open world. Right. And I'm a little mad at the game right now because I found what is the coolest sort of like bonus stage I think I'm going to find in the game. And it's very early on, so I hope that I'm wrong. But it's just like a level of Donkey Kong Country in the game, which is cool.
Nice.
But similar to how like Mario Odyssey, you knew that in every sub area there'd be at least 2 moons to find. I have been able to find one of the moons there, the bananas there, but not the other one. And I have basically torn the level down to its roots. And I'm like, I don't know where it could be. And I'm a little annoyed by that. But that's just the completionist in me. I can move past that. But overall, like, they have a game now that I think is a system seller. Not that Mario Kart World was not a system seller, but even the number of videos that I watched this past week of like Mario Kart World is dead and experiencing multiple like Twitch streams or YouTube live streams of people saying we're going back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like
Mario Kart World will have legs, though, and when people start getting the system, especially around like the holiday and stuff, the fact that they can buy a pack-in game and stuff, Mario Kart World will have its own little renaissance, I think.
Yeah, well, I hope because apparently it's a limited time only that it comes with the pack-in game of Mario Kart World, which again you pay $50 additional for it, so it's not just like a pack-in game. You're buying a version that comes with the game, and they said it's only going to be for a limited time. I hope that limited time does go through holiday 2025.
Well, or at the very least, something else will become the pack-in, I would imagine, right? Like they can't not offer, like it's too good of a bundle deal for them to give up on entirely. But I could see them maybe moving on and maybe putting out a Donkey Kong bundle or putting out something else at the end of the year. Are there any other Switch 2 exclusive games coming out this year?
They have. Okay, so there's another there are 2 more upgrades coming out that are confirmed. Mario Party Jamboree is getting the version that has like the camera-based gameplay so that you'll want to get a camera for your Switch too. So like Mario Party TV and the Bowser like quiz show, that's an update to the Switch game. So that's a Switch 2 version of Mario Party Jamboree. And Kirby and the Forgotten Lands is getting an update to a Switch 2 version as well.
Okay.
So those are the ones that are confirmed. No. Pokemon ZA is coming out. But Pokemon ZA is also releasing on Switch. Like, it's a dual release, so it's not like a straight Switch 2 exclusive. It looked like for a while the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remake was just going to be a Switch 2 release. But no, Square Enix went out of their way to say, no, we're releasing it on the Switch too, but just know the Switch as well. Regular Switch, standard Switch. Sorry, that could have been confusing. Homonyms, people. We're releasing it on the Switch as well, but there will be no path to upgrading. If you buy it on the Switch, it will be locked to the Switch. There will be no $10 to unlock the better textures and loadings that is included in the Switch 2 version. You will have to repurchase the game for the Switch 2. Like, thumbs up, Square Enix. Way to be pro-consumer. I mean, that's every game company now, but, like, still, it's just, like, to take the time to do a press release to say, you want it on the Switch 2, buy it on the Switch 2. Which is also weird, because the third one is only on the Nintendo Switch. So I get for those people who, like, I want all of my games on the one system.
Man, I'm wondering, because like there is Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I'm just not seeing if there's anything else. I was just wondering if there'd be another game that would come out later this year that maybe.
So it's heavily rumored that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be their holiday release. And that in addition to Metroid Prime 4 releasing, they're going to do remastered editions a la Metroid Prime Remastered of 2 and 3 as separate purchases.
Interesting.
Those are the heavy rumors that are out there right now. Again, I no validity to that. I have nothing to prove if that's happening, but that is what...
Like, I'm all excited for like Professor Layton getting a release, but it's also coming out on the Switch. Like, that's the thing. Is like I'm thinking of all these ones that I would like to play, but they're also coming out on the Switch, so there's not a reason for me to buy a Switch 2 for these yet.
Yeah. I mean, the gaming market, if we're going to be honest about it, between Xbox with their Series X and Series S trying to solve serve two masters, and with PlayStation 5s just being so, like, difficult to attain, first during the pandemic, and then it's still kind of like taking multiple years before you could walk into a store and find a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So games were released both on 4 and 5. Like,
yeah.
That, like, the market, it doesn't make sense for Nintendo to say, well, we're just going to abandon the Switch for the Switch 2. And it certainly doesn't make sense on that, where the Switch 2 really kind of feels more like a mid-console, like, revamp, and less like the next generation of Nintendo Switch. Like a next-gen console.
Yeah.
It's like, especially when, like, their whole marketing is play all your Switch games with all of these boosts. Like, oh, so it's like a PlayStation Pro, but you called it a Switch 2. No. It's different. Is it different, though? I mean, as a guy who owns it, I question. Games are what does it. And we're talking about somebody, I'm somebody who bought new NES games 4 years after the release of the Super Nintendo, right? Like, Nintendo is no stranger to having two consoles out in the market, but the difference was they were not releasing the same exact game on the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Well, and they literally couldn't, right? The leap in what the SNES was doing versus the NES, like it'd be really hard. It would be impossible for them to do on the NES what the Super Nintendo was doing, right? Like
Right.
they wouldn't be able to do it. I guess the other way around. They did kind of collect up a bunch of those old games, but I think that they kind of understood back then the value add of like, these three smaller games that we can easily, cheaply fit on one cart now, and then we can pitch to people. It's three games in one,
Right.
but like, yeah, I don't
The
know.
Ninja Gaiden collections and the Super Mario All-Stars of it. But you don't need to look any further than things like Wario's Woods, which is one of the last commercially released NES titles, and Wario Woods on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, just how night and day those games are. And I was originally going to recommend looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for the NES and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for the Super Nintendo. Like, it is such a different game.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like they're strangers to it, but it feels a little different when the game that you play on a Nintendo Switch and a game that you play on a Nintendo Switch 2, really the only difference is, well, the Nintendo Switch 2 can go to 120 hertz, that's in huge air quotes, and be played in 4K if you have the capability to do 4K on your television or monitor.
Right.
Right. Like, it's still the same inherent game. I mean, heck, you want to even go like more recently? Look at Ghostbusters, the video game from 2009, the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 versions versus the Wii and the PlayStation 2 versions. It is a completely different story. The PS2 and the Wii versions, which is kind of cool. Right? You fight a dinosaur that gets, possessed. And I like that about that. I think that's cool. Because there's still the museum level, but rather than going to, like, this weird underground chamber where, Shandor and his cronies were, like, running New York using supernatural powers.
Fucking Shandor.
Yeah. A ghost possesses the Tyrannosaurus statue at the museum, and you have like a chase sequence, and then you get to a point where you can we finally figured out the right polarity to set our packs to, so we can attack it, hopefully without damaging the dinosaur.
Oh my God.
That's the type of stuff, and that is from a creative level, right? And we've been talking a lot about creativity and art and all of that in this episode. Like, when you had to make the game a little bit different because of the limitations, and it wasn't just the same game ported to two separate operating systems, like, you got some really interesting stuff going on.
Oh man, the old days of the Sega versus Nintendo versions of games, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was it? It's Aladdin. Very famously has like a shittier version.
And we're not going to say which one is the shittier version. I know which one I would choose. But that's also the difference there, is the fact that the Aladdin for the Super Nintendo was one of the last games that was developed by Capcom for their long-standing licensing agreement with Nintendo. And then the Aladdin for Sega Genesis was developed by Virgin Games. So it's not even a situation of Capcom developed two separate games because of the different limitations that were present on the consoles. Is the fact that a different company came in and made the one for the Genesis. That's it.
Yeah. We're sitting here in the same week that Tony Hawk 3 and 4 came out. By all accounts, a fantastic re-release. I haven't gotten my hands on it yet.
A lot of people are actually disappointed about it. I'm going to be honest with you. Mostly because in the homogenization of the series for the remastered, all of the beautiful things about 4 that made it unique had to come out of the game. So, like, the narrative for 4 is not there. Like, people, by all accounts, it's a playable game. People are enjoying it for the same reason that you enjoyed the remasters of 1 and 2, right? We have our Ollie the Magic Bum one, and in playing the new 2 and the old Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, I would rather play the older one every day of the week because it just feels like a fuller world. And 4 was really the first one that had like the narrative behind it, and all of that has been taken out. And then because the narrative is not there, like the combo letter challenges have been removed from the game and replaced with things that are more in line with all of the challenges of the original, of the 1 and 2 remaster. So you're right. People are enjoying it. I'm fairly certain IGN gave it like a good score. It's getting good reviews, but there is something missing from the sauce of 4 that people have been talking about. I just want to make sure that we're representing that. Sorry.
Well, that's a bummer because like as I like, because I was just hoping that they would eventually get around to like a Thug remake, but if they're not going to keep the story elements of it, then like what's the point? Like, don't even touch Thug.
Yeah, Thug, because that's the reason why Thug is so incredible, is that it's like a full-on adventure story in the world of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, where the final level is you shooting fireballs at your rival. Oh, that game really goes off the rails. I love Thug. And then Thug 2 is like, it's more of that, like, it feels more in line with, like, what 4 was. Thug was ambitious, but, like, Thug 2 was not as ambitious.
Thug 2 was basically just Jackass the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of. Oh, jeez. But yes, sorry, I mean, I cut your off there, but, like, we are in the same time where that game came out. And people are enjoying it.
And so just in terms of like revisiting like old games and like repackaging things and how they can turn into completely different games when they get repackaged that way, but it's supposed to be feeding off of the same marketable like nostalgia, right? It really does kind of kill a lot of kind of some of the fun of like talking about video games and diving into video games with how homogenous everything has just become over the last 20 years with the hobby.
Yeah, it's something. But then if we're going to talk about it, so Bonanza, it's good. I haven't finished it. I thought I would be further along than I am with the game, but I'm not, and I'm excited to play it still. Like, it hasn't gotten to a point where I'm bored. I was a little bummed until I got to, the game does not truly begin until you get to layer 200. And then it's like, oh, like there's all this other stuff to do that is like actual open world game coded, you know? Like there's the stuff to hunt for. There's the missions to find in that. So like, don't be fooled by like how slow to start it is. That's what I'm going to say. But you want to talk about repackaging things. Sejohn, are you familiar at all with Shadow Labyrinth?
It's funny enough, I saw you playing it the other day, and so I decided to check out what it was, and so now I am, but I wasn't before I saw you playing it on online the other day.
Yeah, so Shadow Labyrinth, for anybody who doesn't know, is a reimagining of Pac-Man as a Metroidvania. And it's got a little bit of Destiny in there with the fact that you have sort of a ghost that actually looks like Pac-Man, whose name is Puck, and you know that Scott Pilgrim's got a raging erection because of that.
Yeah, but I saw some of the shots of it of like Shadow Pac-Man with like fire eyes and big teeth and stuff like that, and I was just like, what the fuck is Devon playing?
Yeah, it's I mean, first of all, I love a good Metroidvania. It is very fun to explore. It is by
Bandai Namco as well.
Yeah, right. It is them.
Like when we say that it is a reimagining of Pac-Man, it is from the people that made Pac-Man.
Yeah, and they've taken it and they've turned it into a different sort of game. And I haven't been able to interact with them yet. I have found mazes, like I've found like panels in the background that look like Pac-Man mazes, and by all accounts, eventually I will update to be able to understand that language, and I will have to play just standard Pac-Man in order to accomplish things. The way that I've been explaining it to people is the fact that basically it's like Metroid, but instead of becoming a morph ball, you become Pac-Man. Because that's like your first thing you unlock is the ability to ride on little rails as Pac-Man. And
Have you watched the secret level episode
no,
that is apparently associated to it?
so
with
I
it?
am very excited. The only secret level episode I've watched is the Mega Man one, and that tracks, as Mega Man is probably, if not, it's certainly one of my top 3 franchises of games, right? It might
You're
be
a
the
Mega
top
Man
one.
guy.
I'm a Mega Man guy, right? People know that. People know me as the Ninja Turtle guy and the Mega Man guy. But yet Leonardo's not my favorite Ninja Turtle. Weird. Sorry. So, like, yeah, so I'm excited to play. I don't even know why I brought up what we're talking about here. No, I watched the Mega Man secret level. I watched the Mega Man secret level, and then when I found out that the Shadow Labyrinth, like the episode that they did was sort of a weird lead into Shadow Labyrinth, I'm like, well, I'm going to play Shadow Labyrinth, and then I'll watch the episode afterwards. Because I didn't want anything to be, like, spoiled for me, and I have to say I'm happy that I have gone into Shadow Labyrinth as blindly as I have. Like, I knew that it was like all I knew was that like it's a weird Dark Souls Metroidvania style reimagining of the world of Pac-Man, and I'm like, well, you have my attention, especially, and this is sad because I never went back to this game. I completed it, but Yars Rising, like, I'm a real big fan of this style of game where we take an old game that was popular and then we build a Metroidvania around it, and you have to play that old style game, like, for progress. Like, Yars Rising, you play a hacker, and the whole thing is that whenever you're hacking, you play the game Yars from Atari.
Which is an actual old game.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, so like it was a weird way to like reimagine playing that game with like modern storytelling around it.
Yeah. And I mean, I had a fun time with it. There was a little bit of slowdown and stuff like that, a little bit of bugs because I played it like release day. And I'm like, I'm excited to come back to it. And I just haven't. And I think it's because it's one of those games that like just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like, it felt like this is a logical place to end it. And then suddenly you're in space 10,000 years in the future. And it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, I guess. Everyone I ever knew or loved is dead, but I'm saving the world. But
oh man.
But in terms of it, I do enjoy that, and I like being Pac-Man. Like, there's an upgrade where, like, now my little Puck, sort of like Destiny Ghost, he goes around and collects the aura droppings from when I kill things. So he's basically waka-ing as I'm killing stuff. And it's fun. Like, it's this fun, stupid thing. And then there's additionally, and this is, you literally start the game in this. There's a, like, mech suit that looks like Pac-Man in the center, but then it has, like, limbs. And that's a whole other, like, section of the game. So you play as the Ghost 8 character, which that's funny because that's what Pac-Man does. He ate ghosts that you walk around in, and that's like your main role. But then there are times where you are the Pac-Man, like, little dude, and there are times where you're in a big mech that has like a Pac-Man center that's eating. And, you know, that shadow red-eyed Pac-Man, that has only happened one time, Sejohn, but it was crazy when it happened.
Oh my god, it's so wild.
So yeah, but I think it's really interesting that you have Donkey Kong, like a more than 40-year-old game, getting this new sort of reimagining, re-look. And because with some of the characters and some of the visuals that are in Donkey Kong Bonanza, it really does feel like they've gone back to the roots of that original 1980s arcade game.
Cool.
And that releases a day before Bandai Namco are like, hey, remember Pac-Man? We've done some stuff with Pac-Man, but, like, let's go grim dark with Pac-Man. And it works. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm more excited to spend time in the world of Shadow Labyrinth. At least I was before, like, finally making progress in Bonanza to a part that made it feel like a video game and not just like an interactive slideshow. So
Yeah, good, excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that both of them are actually like interesting and fun and worth looking into.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, two different sides of the gaming world at the moment.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, earlier this week in a conversation with someone, like, I kind of feel like I'm over gaming in a lot of ways. Like, I've been doing a lot with Ghostbuster Spirits Unleashed. I finally hit Prestige level 5. So
Yay.
I feel like there are no new lands to conquer. I can finally rest. But that rest was like 2 days until I had the new Donkey Kong and this new Pac-Man game that I'm splitting my time between. So yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of any other. I have one other thing that I want to touch on, but is there anything else that you wanted to make sure we talked about in this Colbert Report episode?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Superman is still chugging along. Surprised everybody by doubling its money.
Yeah.
Pretty much no drop this week. It was pretty cool.
I mean, I tried to see it on
Nothing
Tuesday
else.
and it was sold out. And that's between like people still hadn't seen it. It was still technically new and the cheap seats. I was happy to see that there were no seats available in Superman. Even though, like, I've had some discussions about it, and I think I've figured out where my boredom comes from. But we could talk about that later on once we've, like, seen it again and it's had more time to ruminate in our minds and our hearts.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about is I found a new Mountain Dew, Sejohn. And it's the flavor of the summer. I don't know if it's been happening around you, but, like, Bomb Pop flavor, cherry, lemon, raspberry is everywhere. I've had bubbly, that flavor. I've had, like, thick pastes that were that flavor.
I saw Bomb Pop ice cream the other day, which I was just like, isn't that just Bomb Pop?
Isn't that just Bomb Pop without a stick? I think I'd probably enjoy that, though. The stick is the worst part of the popsicle. It's hard to eat around
so fibrous.
it. It's hard to eat around it. If you do eat the stick, it's very fibrous. He's not wrong. And then, like, you're left with this stick. Like, what am I going to do?
Usually with a good joke on it, though, I got to say.
They've gotten rid of the jokes on the Bomb Pop, Sejohn. I don't know. I'm so disappointed by this. Were
they offensive?
I don't know. I've taken to writing my own little jokes on.
Before you throw them out,
just to try to capture
for somebody else to find.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, cool, and then someone will find this and think that there's still jokes on them. But I was at a Walmart yesterday. I'm not sure if it's a Walmart exclusive flavor. Walmart has been having some crazy Mountain Dew exclusive flavors. Let me check. It's a Summer Freeze. It makes me feel fine. No, it looks like it is not. Let's see, 25 exclusive. October 19th, 2025, Team Supernova announced the patriotic trio Liberty Chill, Freedom Fusion, Star Spangled Splash have been scrapped due to unexpectedly high amounts of waste. That's disappointing. We had done those in our tier list, and all three of them were pretty good. So they went back to that. Team Supernova announced the upcoming release of 2 new flavors. Dragon Fruit is the Walmart exclusive, replacing Frostbite, and Summer Freeze is available everywhere. So I was a little disappointed that I only found the Summer Freeze at Walmart. I was looking for the Dragon Fruit. But, you know, it's the classic cherry, lemon, raspberry that you expect. But I honestly believe that, like, it is the summer of Bomb Pop flavored things. So I understand why they went seeing back a lot of that. It. Yeah. So just be on the lookout. Apparently they hit stores on June 15th, the Dragon Fruit and the Summer Freeze. So if you're a Dew head like Sejohn and I, it's out there, baby.
Do I call myself that? I don't know if I take on that title. I don't know if I take on that title.
Yeah, well, we did a whole episode on it, Sejohn, so I can understand why the people out there in the world would think that. I'll be honest, I am like eagerly awaiting the Baja Midnight to come out at Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. They keep saying summer of 2025, and it's been summer of 2025 for a whole month, Sejohn. Where is
I don't know what they think they're doing with the chicken right now. Taco Bell's in a weird space at the moment.
Yeah, I will say this: the ranchero chicken, like burrito, was really, really good. But apparently they ran out of the ranchero sauce, like, nationwide, which is why they've swiveled to, like, barbecue. And yes, barbecue and chicken go together fine, but, like, their whole marketing campaign of it's a taco place, but it's also a chicken place, but it's also a taco place?
Well,
like,
I think they got their lunch. Don't pardon this pun. They got their lunch eaten right out from underneath them by McDonald's coming back with the snack wrap. I think that they were not ready for that. I think that they saw the void, that they were like, hey, people have been really talking about the snack wrap, and like we could do a snack wrap. And then all of a sudden McDonald's is like, nah, we're bringing our snack wrap back. And it's just like, fuck. Like, they didn't get a chance before McDonald's was just like, nope, we're going to do it. We're going to bring back the original.
So that's the thing, though. It's not the original, because the original snack wrap was made using the chicken selects. The McCrispy strips at McDonald's are kind of just like long nuggets. And I remember having that discussion where, like, when Burger King switched from their chicken strips to the nuggets, and the fact that, like, all they did was change the shape. Right? It's not like their chicken strips were a higher quality of it. I was disappointed because I went out and got the McCrispy strips. I really liked the chicken selects at McDonald's. Were like, they were high quality chicken strips from a fast food place. Right? But when I got the McCrispy strips and I bit into it, I'm like, oh, that's just the texture of a chicken nugget, but shaped like a chicken tender. I see what you did there. And by all accounts, that's all that's in the snack wraps. So I haven't jumped in it. Though I will say I have been going to McDonald's because Lil McDonald's got me on the hook, Sejohn. I love these stupid little McDonald's things. And I've gotten 2 of the gold Happy Meals, which are rare. So
nice.
It's been a good time. I've been enjoying it. All right. So I think that's it. I wanted to make sure that I said that the Mountain Dew is out there. I have found it. Looking forward to Dragon Fruit. Really looking forward to the Baja Midnight, the passion fruit flavor that Taco Bell has been teasing for 2 years now. Which is just like, okay, good job, guys. When is it going to actually come out? Summer 2025. If you release it on September 19th, I don't think that I mean, technically the summer, but you're going to piss off a lot of Devon Deckers. So, yeah. Last checks, anything, Siege? You're ready to send this one over to Will to package it up for people. All right, excellent. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can find us in our Discord. Invitations to join the Discord are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this release is still X, formerly Twitter and Facebook. If that changes, we'll make sure to let you know. Or if you're not on X, formerly Twitter or Facebook, but still want to join the Discord, you can send an email to thesayReport@gmail.com and we'll facilitate you with an invitation to join in on the fun. But if you're also fearful of Discord because you've seen the direction that things like X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook went, you can always just communicate with us by sending emails to thesayReport@gmail.com. And the most important thing to remember is that if you're sending an email specifically for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarrowick, just put our names in the subject line, and we will assure you that it will be distributed to the proper Say Reporter, and the other one will not get to read your personal thoughts, hopes, and dreams for the other one. We'll probably talk about it, but they won't read it. That'll be a special moment between you, the sender, and whichever Say Reporter you sent it to. All of that said, thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Say Report, and William, please bring us home.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarrowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.